Hello. Welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. My name is Hussein. Hope you're having a good day and um, enjoying all this craziness that's going on in our government and situation with, boy, you don't know what to think anymore, man. Just like so much is happening so fast. It's like, feels apocalyptic. So anyway, I just was thinking about. I was just reading today, and was thinking about some of the laws of Moses. I was actually reading the laws of Moses. I wasn't really reading about Muhammad. I was reading about the laws of Moses, and these are different laws. There's like um, hello, Emmanuel. God bless you. Hello, Tiger. There's the Ten Commandments, but then there's the other laws too. The more detailed laws. Like all of the laws fall into the Ten Commandments. That can be categorized as Ten Commandments, and but um, the Emmanuel, you are to be rebuked, my friend. So I'm just kidding. Yeah. So, yeah. Actually, it fits into. Well, shut up. I better not say. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna. When I was listening to some of the, actually, the law of Moses, some of the laws of Moses, it made me think of. You know what? Muhammad has broken all of these, and so I just was going to look at some of them, some of these laws that Moses. Because quite often you hear that Muhammad is the prophet like Moses. Well, he wasn't a lot like Moses. And, the things that Moses prohibited, Muhammad uh, either did or he encouraged others to do it. And so, anyway, I just want to look at some of those lesser known, laws that he broke. I mean, there's the obvious Ten Commandments, but then there's the kind of the fine print commandments. So supposedly there's 300, is it 316? Yeah. No, 613. Yeah. That's the exact opposite of 316. Yeah, 613 laws that in the Torah. So yeah, just let's look at some of them and see how Muhammad measures up. Okay. Now here's one. Okay. If a man has sexual relations with his aunt, he has dishonored his uncle. They will be held responsible and they will die childless. Okay. So, this hadith, this is the law of Moses from the book of, I believe, Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 20. It says, if a man has sexual relations with his aunt, he has dishonored his uncle. They will be held responsible. They will die childless. Okay. Well, how does this relate to Muhammad? Well, we have a little story here about Muhammad. And, you know, this story comes from Kinz al-Amal, which is a very famous book. It's called the Treasure of the Workers, and Kinz al-Amal. And this is a really big book of Sharia, Sharia law, really used a lot for Sharia law. Okay, Kinz al-Amal. And it says the issues of women. Okay. And it says, so what happened, you guys, is that Muhammad, one night, him and a bunch of his friends went to the graveyard, and there was a woman in the grave, and it was Muhammad's aunt, Muhammad's aunt, Khola. Her name was Khola, and her body was in the grave. Her body was in the grave. And then it says, I, Muhammad, put on her my shirt that she may wear the clothes of heaven. Okay, so he put his shirt on her so that she could wear the clothes of heaven. All right. Does that mean okay. All right. And I slept with her in her coffin that I may lessen the pressure of the grave. She was the best of Allah's creatures to me after Abu Talib. Okay. And the Prophet was referring to, okay, now this is um, referring to Fatima, the mother of Ali. Okay. Now, and then Muhammad asked his believer, one of his believers, okay, somebody who was one of his followers, in Sahih al-Bukhari now, narrated by Anas bin Malik, we were in the funeral of one of the daughters of the Prophet, and he was sitting by the side of the grave. I saw his eyes were shedding tears. He said, is there anyone among you who did not have sexual relations with his wife last night? Abu Talha said in the affirmative. And so the Prophet told him to get down in the grave. So he got down in her grave. So anyway, that's another grave situation. Grave situation. But yeah, but this is a very well-known story about Muhammad sleeping with his dead aunt. So we got the issue there of necrophilia, and but specifically, this was with his aunt, his dead aunt. And so I know it's like you killed two birds with one stone with that particular hadith. You got both the necrophilia and the fact that it was his aunt. And so this is yeah, Kinz al-Amal, very highly regarded book, very famous book. One book that I always hear people talk about when they talk about Sharia here in America is of the Traveler. What is it called? The Thing of the Traveler. A lot of people refer to that book, something of the Traveler, but it's a book specifically of Sharia law, how the laws of the Quran and the Hadith translate to Sharia, practical laws. And so, but this book right here, Kinz al-Amal, is also a very big book for Sharia law. So yeah, so there's Muhammad and breaking the law of Moses there by having sex with his aunt. And you know what? It's interesting too, is that while he was in there, he said he was trying to relieve her pain in hell or anything by having sex with her. He was trying to relieve her pain. You know what it actually says? And I looked for this hadith, I couldn't find it, but it actually says that the men around the grave, when Muhammad was in it, they started kicking dirt into the grave. They started kicking dirt into the grave because they were disgusted with Muhammad. They were disgusted with what Muhammad was doing. And so they started kicking dirt into the grave on top of Muhammad while he was having sex with his aunt. So his dead aunt. Okay. So okay, so there's one of them. All right. Now let's look at this one over here. It says, if a man has sexual relation with a woman during her monthly period, he has exposed the source of her flow, and she has also uncovered it. Both of them are to be cut off from their people. Okay. Now, this is, again, okay. Okay. There are many hadiths about this. And, okay. All right. Sorry, guys. Some of this is uncomfortable to read this. All right, let's see this here. It says the prophet and I used to take a bath from a single pot while we were junub. He used to, during the menses, he used to order me to put on an izar, a dress below the waist, and used to, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry, you guys. He used to fondle me while in itikaf. He used to bring his head. Okay. Okay. I used to be in my periods, menses. Okay. This is Sahih al Bukhari, 299, 300, 301. Okay. I'm sorry. I can't even read that, man. I can't even read that. And then Nabi, واحد كلنا جنب وكان يأمرني فأتذر يباشرني وأنا حائض فيباشرني وأنا حائض. In the Arabic there, you guys, ya boye, ya boye, ya boye. Yo, this is really painful to read this, man. Um, I'm gonna go to Google Translate. I know what it means when a ha'id. That means when I was menstruating. Um, يبشرني وأنا حائض. Okay. You bet. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you from Google Translate. I wrote it into Google Translate. I'll show it to you just to show you that I'm not making this up. Yubashirni wa ana ha'id means he has sex with me while I am menstruating. When they translated into the English, they said he used to fondle, but that's not what it says in the Arabic. Okay, sorry guys. Anyway, that was one of the laws of Moses. Okay, that was one of the laws of Moses. And oh, a mortuary worker recently was fired in my country for this very reason. Guess his religion. Okay, yeah. Well, Muhammad did it, and he did it. What's interesting? What's interesting is that Muhammad not only did it, he encouraged others to do it. And with the subject of necrophilia, okay, that he had sex with a dead woman. That Muhammad did it, and there was a. Let me see if I could find this. Um, Let me see if I could find this to show it to you. This was I believe in Time magazine. Okay, this was during the Muslim Brotherhood, during the days of the Muslim Brotherhood, Obama Brotherhood, and okay, um, okay. I can't find it, but I can't find it right now. But there was a big article in Time magazine when the Muslim Brotherhood controlled Egypt. And the law was that you were allowed to have sex with your wife after she dies, up to 2 days, you know. And this was actually, I mean, it was a law. It was actually a law that the Muslim Brotherhood wanted to have. And so, yeah, so that's permissible in the Sharia law. Yes, I know about this. And so, all right, let's look at another. But that was specifically, you guys, about the menstruation. It says, that Moses said, you know, if a man has sexual relation with a woman during her monthly period, he has exposed her source, and both of them are cut off from the people. I mean, it was an offense. And you guys, Islam supposedly is against doing that. Islam teaches against that, but Muhammad did it. And the reason they know Muhammad did it is because Aisha said everything. She was a young girl. She was like, what, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so she just said whatever. And so there's one reason that this is in the hadith, and it's a sahih hadith. So, all right, let's see. Here's another one. If a man has sexual relations with his daughter-in-law, both of them are to be put to death. What they have done is perversion, and their blood will be upon their own heads. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I know you guys know this story very well. Let me go ahead and all right. Okay, just one second here. I know you guys all know this story, but for those of you who don't, oh, this isn't it. Wait a second. Sorry. Oh, thought it would be down here. Shoot, what did I do? Oh, maybe this is it. Let me see. Cancel. Let me see if this is it here. Okay. Okay. So you guys know the story. Mohammed went to visit his son's house when he went to visit his son's house when his adopted son, Zaid, and when Zaid wasn't there. While he was there, the wind blew open the door of the tent and he saw Zaid's wife, his daughter-in-law, and not completely dressed. And so he turned around and said, Subhanalladhi yuqallib al-qulub. Praise be to the one, the turner of hearts. And he said it loud enough so Zainab heard it. And then he walked away. He left, But then or supposedly, and then when Zaid came home, her husband, she told him, "Oh, your father came by." And he says, "Oh, what did he want?" And then she told him about the little incident that happened and what Muhammad said. And so Zaid went and said to him, he said, "Oh, do you want me to divorce my wife so you can marry her?" And then this is kind of where this hadith picks up. It says, "And when you said, well, this is actually Allah speaking here." Okay, so anyway, Muhammad said to his son, "No, no, keep your wife. the right thing to do is to keep your wife, even though Muhammad wanted his wife. And so Muhammad went home, and then he had one of his seizures at Aisha's house. He went to Aisha's house because he was scared of Aisha. She was young and strong, and he was getting old and weak. And so he went to her house, had his seizure, when the spirit comes on him and he gets a verse from Allah. And then he smiled. It says he smiled. And then when he smiled, he said, and Aisha says, "Why are you smiling?" And he said, "Because Allah just told me that he married Zainab to me." And then Aisha said, "I see that your Lord hastens to fulfill your desires." Okay, so there's a long story there. And then there's this verse in the Quran. I actually got a verse in the Quran about this. And it says, and when you said to him, again, this is Allah speaking to Muhammad, when you said to him, to whom Allah had shown favor, to whom you had shown a favor, keep your wife to yourself and be careful, your duty to Allah. And now Allah's rebuking Muhammad here, and you concealed in your soul what Allah would bring to light, meaning that Allah was going to bring to light the fact that Muhammad wanted Zainab, and that Allah was about to give him his daughter-in-law. Okay, and you feared men, and Allah has the greater right that you should fear him. But when Zaid had no further need of her, we gave her to you as a wife, so that there should be no difficulty for the believers in respect of the wives of their adopted sons. Okay, so there was a moral in this. Allah wanted to teach an important principle here, that Muhammad was an example for men in the future who want to marry their daughters-in-law. That Allah is setting forth Muhammad as an example for all humanity, that men who want to marry their daughters-in-law in the future would have no embarrassment. That's the reason for this verse. And when they had accomplished their want of them, and Allah's command shall be performed, there is no harm in the Prophet doing what Allah has ordained for him. Such has been the course of Allah with respect to those who have gone before. And the command of Allah is a decree that is made absolute. Okay, this is Quran 33, 37 to 38. So Muhammad wanted his daughter-in-law, and Allah came and gave her to him. And so, all right, and not only did he give her to him, Allah also made it legal for all, so that there should be no difficulty for believers in respect to the wives of their adopted sons. Okay. Okay, 37, 38. All right. You know what? I want to just actually look at that verse in the Quran to see it in the I want to see it in the original Arabic, because I just have a suspicion that they're not being completely honest here in their translation. So just one second here. Okay. This is a very famous verse. There's lots of YouTube videos about it. Is it 37 or 33? Okay. Oh, 33. Okay, it's 33. Sorry about that. Okay. 33, 37 to 38. Okay. Here's the verse. Okay. وإذ تقول للذي أنعم الله عليه وأنعمت عليه امسك عليك زوجتك. Okay, if you say to the one that Allah had grace upon and that you had grace upon him, keep your wife to yourself, and they use the right word, زوجك, عليك زوجك, okay? أطق الله تخفي في نفسك. Okay, trust Allah and you concealed in yourself. Ma Allah mubdiyan wa nakhsha nas. Okay, and you're concealing in yourself what Allah has begun to reveal. Okay, um, and you feared the people. Wa Allah ahak in takhshi, and Allah's the one takhshahu, and Allah's the one that you should fear. فلما قضى زيد منها وطرا زوجناكها. When Zaid had his fill of her, we married her to you. لكي لا يكون على المؤمنين حرج في أزواج أدعيائهم. So that there would be no um, uh, uh, resistance or hesitancy or embarrassment for the believers who want to marry their daughters-in-law. Okay, and so that was Allah's principle there that he wanted to teach. And of course, you guys know that Muhammad, right after that, abolished adoption. Abolished adoption. So there was no more adopted sons. Okay, so yeah, so there was no more adopted sons. But anyway, so this only worked for Muhammad because immediately after this, Muhammad abolished adoption because, in fact, there's a verse in the Quran where it says Muhammad is the father of none of you. Why? Because he wanted to show that he was not the father of Zaid. Because the people around were saying, "Hey, dude, what's up with you marrying your son's wife? How can you make your son how can you make your son divorce his wife so you could marry her? You know, what's up with that? You know?" And the people were like, "Dude, this is disgusting that you're doing this." And and so Muhammad, in order to not say that he was marrying his son's wife, even though Zaid was his adopted son, he abolished adoption altogether. So there's no adoption in the Muslim world because Muhammad wanted to marry his daughter-in-law. But if we go back to Moses, what did Moses say about this? If a man has sexual relations with his daughter-in-law, both of them are to be put to death. What they have done is perversion. Their blood will be upon their own heads. In God's eyes, according to Moses at least, is perversion what Muhammad did. Okay, so yeah, so yes, and they're saying that Muhammad is the prophet like Moses too. So yeah, so all right, let's see what else we got here. All right, and then we got this one. Okay, Deuteronomy 22:5. A woman shall not wear a man's garment, nor shall a man put on a woman's cloak. For whoever does those things is abomination to the Lord your God. So, you guys, this is called abomination. It's called abomination. Um, okay. Um, all right. Well, we have here, okay, we have several hadiths. Several hadiths. Let's make them bigger here so you could read them. Um, Let me go ahead and show it to you. says here, it says, this is Mishkat al-Masabih. Do I have sunnah.com open? Yeah, I do. Let me see if I could control copy. Let me see if I could just find it here real quick. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and just read this to you here. All right, it says, if anyone wishes to make a present to God's messenger, let him present it to him wherever he happens to be. She did so and replied, do not annoy me regarding Aisha. Okay, this so Muhammad is saying, do not annoy me regarding Aisha. For inspiration has not come to me when I was in any woman's garment but Aisha's. Okay, that's Mishkat al-Masabih. Okay, meaning that when he would wear Aisha's clothes, that thing would come to him. In Arabic, they call it al-Wahi. So he would, like, when he would wear Aisha's clothes, that's when the thing would come to him and give him verses of the Quran. He says, for inspiration has not come to me when I was in any woman's garment but Aisha's. Now, my question is, does that mean he tried on other women's garments? This is a Sahih hadith, you guys. So was he wearing other women? Did he try other women's garments on? To where he knew this, it only works with Aisha's? So was he also trying on, Hafsa's clothes and trying on, what was the old one? He had so many, Khola, Habiba, all his Khadija. Was he wearing all their clothes too? But it says that it only came to him when he was wearing, in no other woman's clothes was able to get the inspiration except Aisha's. And now we have a Sahih al-Bukhari. Sahih al-Bukhari, and it says here, he went around and she spoke to him. He said to her, do not injure me regarding Aisha. The revelation doesn't come to me does not come to me when I am in the garment of any woman except Aisha. So when he used to wear Aisha's clothes, that's when the spirit would come on him, that wahi, that inspiration, and bring him Quran verses. So the revelation does not come to me when I am in the garment of any woman except Aisha. So he would wear Aisha's clothes, and that would bring that spirit to him, to give him verses of the Quran, according to these hadiths. Okay, but let's read. Let's read once again what Moses said. It says, a woman shall not wear a man's garment, nor shall a man put on a woman's cloak. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord your God. So it's an abomination, for a man to wear a woman's clothing and a woman to wear a man's clothing. Okay. And so we see that there's a lot of this. Muhammad did a lot of this. There's also this situation right here. Okay. And this is what, and we talked about this the other day, but it's about Deuteronomy 24, 1-4 is about divorce and remarriage. The passage tells us that a man or woman cannot return to a former spouse and marry him or her if the former spouse had subsequently married another person. Here is the passage. This is Deuteronomy 24, 1-4. When a man takes a wife and marries her, and it happens that she finds no favor in his eyes because he has found some indecency in her, and he writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her out from his house, and she leaves his house and goes and becomes another man's wife. And if the latter husband turns against her and writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her out of the house, or if the latter husband dies who took her to be his wife, then the former husband who sent her away is not allowed to take her again to be his wife, since she has been defiled, for that is abomination to the Lord. So this is abomination, is that, if a man, if a woman, man and woman get married, then they get divorced, and then the wife leaves, marries another man, and then that man divorces her or he dies, she cannot go back to the first husband because the Bible calls that abomination. But in Islam, it's not called abomination. In fact, it's called, let's see if I, just to show that, is this it? Okay. No, I think it's maybe 2:30. Okay. Here's what the Quran says. And okay, it says, so if a husband divorces his wife 3 times, then it is not lawful for him to remarry her until she has married another man and then is divorced. Then it is permissible for them to reunite. Okay, as long as they're able to maintain the limits of Allah. But she has to go. I want to read the Arabic. فَإِن طَلَّقْهَا فَلَا تُحِلَّهُ. If he divorces her, she is not permitted to him. من بعد حتى تنكح زوجا غيره. تنكح زوجا غيره. Have sex with another husband beside him. فإن طلقها فلا جناح عليهم إن يتراجعان إن ظنا إن يقيما حدود الله. So she goes, marries this other man, has sex with him, he divorces her, then she's allowed to go back to the first husband. Now, in the Quran, this is Allah's words, and it's the exact opposite. In fact, in the Bible, it's called abomination. But Muhammad in the Quran says this is the prescribed way. So there you have it. You have all of these laws that Moses gave. And what's interesting is so many of them are considered abominations. And yet Muhammad not only made them legal, in some cases, he made them requirements. His prophet corrected the Torah. Well, he didn't think that, he believed in the Torah, and of course they don't believe, or they only believe what they want to believe of the Hadith and of the Quran, because Muhammad believed in the Torah. He believed in the Torah, and according to the Hadith, Allah wrote the Torah with his own hands, and there's nobody can change the Torah, because la tabdila kalimatahu. Nobody can change Allah's words according to the Quran and according to the Hadith. But they only believe what they want to believe. So and in the let me see. I'm just kind of curious now. Okay. 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 I was looking for the Facebook pages, because there's a lot of Facebook pages where you can have these so-called halal marriages. And I mean, this is a business, it's a real business. And let me see if I can find some of these for you here. Okay. Halal marriage and pregnancy centers, nonprofit organization, halal marriage, halal relations. So Muslim halal marriages. And there's actually some people who um, I've seen their Facebook pages where these guys say, "Hey, do you want to have a temporary marriage, this halal marriage, so that you can go back to your first spouse?" And there's actual Facebook pages about this. And I've heard also the sheikhs, they do it. They're willing for a price to do it as well. So yeah, now in the Bible, it's called abomination, but in Islam, it is the prescribed way. And you guys also know the story of the woman that, let me see if I could find that one. I can just show it to you. Mhm. Let's see. Okay. I know you guys know this story. It's a very popular story. And let me show you. But this is actually, we don't always associate it with halal marriage, but it actually is about that. It says, Rif'a divorced his wife. Okay, so there's a guy named Rif'a who divorced his wife, whereupon Abdurrahman bin Zubair al-Qurayzi married her. Aisha said that the lady came wearing a green veil and complained to her that her husband uh, showed her a green spot on her skin caused by beating. It was a habit of ladies to support each other. So when Allah's apostle came, Aisha said, "I have not seen any woman suffering as much as the believing women. Look, her skin is greener than her clothes." When Abdurrahman heard that his wife had gone to the Prophet, he came with his two sons from another wife and said, "By Allah, I have done no wrong to him." Okay, this is the wife saying, "I have done no wrong to him, but he is impotent and is as useless to me as this," holding the fringe of her garment. Boy, the way they used to talk back then. Jeez. Abdul Rahman said, by Allah, O Allah's apostle, she has told a lie. I am very strong and can satisfy her, but she is disobedient and wants to go back to Rif'a. Allah's apostle said to her, if that is your intention, then know that it is unlawful for you to remarry Rif'a unless Abdul Rahman has had sexual intercourse with you. Then the Prophet saw the two boys, with Abdurrahman, and he said, "Are these your sons?" On that, Abdurrahman said, "Yes." The Prophet said, "You claim that he's impotent, but by Allah, these boys resemble him as a crow resembles a crow." Sahih al-Bukhari. And so he sent the woman who had been so badly beaten by this guy, he sent her back to him. Didn't even rebuke the guy. Didn't even tell him, the best of believers don't do these things. He didn't say that at all. He commended the guy. This is Mohammed. This is Sahih al-Bukhari also. And but anyway, this is a story of halal marriage. This is you know the subject of this is halal marriage. So and so all right. Well, so I just wanted to show a little bit about these laws of Moses that Muhammad broke, besides the Ten Commandments. even though these are part of the Ten Commandments, like the Ten Command, all of these fit into the Ten. Most of the ones we talked about today fit into the "Thou shalt not commit adultery" commandment, But Muhammad broke lots of those, and so as we were reading Leviticus today, I think we're reading about it or talking about it. I just realized, wait a minute, Muhammad broke all of these. And there's more, you guys. There's more that he broke, and we'll bring them in future episodes, hopefully. So, all right. Well, I think we kind of had a short live stream today. There's 113 Levitical laws. Wow. I'll have to check them all out. Now, the Levitical laws, a lot of them are for the Levites, for the Levite priests, but there are some of them, the law, which are repeated in the New Testament, so there are, a lot of it was for the Levite priest, like you don't wear cotton with silk or something like that, don't mix what is it? Don't mix the wool with cotton or something like that. And I don't know if they had cotton back then. Wool with shoot, what was it? Wool and something else. You're not supposed to mix them. And then you're not supposed to cook supposed to cook a goat in its mother's milk and stuff like that. And yeah, but a lot of it, especially when it comes to the sexual stuff, that all is still relevant. So yeah, thank you for telling me that, Tiger. I will go and look at those. So all right, you guys. Well, I think I think we'll go ahead and end it early here tonight. That's all I wanted to say. So if you get any more information about this you'd like to share, please feel free to do so. And if you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. يسوع ساعدني. يسوع سامحني. يسوع ادخل قلبي. We love you, and more importantly, he loves you. So have a great night.
If you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth, this happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to have to repeat that.
That the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.